Hello YouTube and welcome back to Middle Earth. This is Bloodborne. I'm going to go over a little bit more detail on the legendary item system within the Lord of the Rings Online. There is a previous video that I've done that kind of does an overview of the system. I'll have the link for that below. And I have a few other resources that are really handy when trying to figure out what you want to do with your legendary item. All the links will be below, and basically what we're looking at is there is a legendary item planner. It is not up to date for level 100, but it gets you really close as far as what you're planning to do. It is a Lua script add-on for the game, so you do need to download the plugin. But basically it looks like your legendary item window, and it allows you to pick whatever legacies you want, set them to whatever tier you'd like, and kind of mess with your points however you want and see all the legacies. The other one that goes along with that is just the LOTRO plugin Compendium. Makes it a lot easier to install plugins and whatnot if you are interested in doing that. There is also a forum thread that actually lists all of the legacies for all classes, weapons, and class items. And then, and then I'll have the link for the other video. So this one is going to be focused a little bit more around relics and melding and kind of what the best process is to get that done. So first what we're going to look at is we need to find a relic master. There is one in Bree. There's a lot more of them around Middle Earth. So what we're looking at is the relic forging tab. We have the Deconstruct tab, the Melding tab, and the Refining tab. Relic forging basically is just taking all of the relics that you already have of a certain tier, and you combine X amount of them to make the next higher tier of them. So you combine them all the way up, and there are 10 tiers of relics. The next one is Deconstruct. So this is going to be where you deconstruct any of your current LIs, whether they are for your class or not. Make sure that you lock the ones that you want, because you do not want to decon something that you have put a ton of time into it, because you are not getting it back. LIs, you can't even go through support to get them back. So be very, very careful with the Deconstruct panel. I've been down that road. It is very frustrating. Okay. The Melding tab is where it gets a little fun. And by fun, I mean it gets a little tedious just because there's so many things to look at. So what I'll typically do is close down all the tabs so I can see all the categories and see what we're looking at. So as you can see, there's tiers 1 through 10. And then we get into a lot of the uniques and extraordinaries, and this is where the hard work comes in, because it takes a lot of planning and a lot of shards to make this stuff. So before we get into that, I'll touch base on this last tab here. So refining. Refining is basically, you can have the ability to take any of the current relics that you have, and you can refine them, and you make shards out of them. So when you select one, it'll actually tell you the shards to earn down here at the bottom, and when you click on refine, you'll see a window pop up and say that you've received that amount. Okay, now I'm going to kind of step back through these a little bit. What I do with these is I go through and I just auto combine everything. You can't go too fast, or else you'll get the too many requests slowdown, which I wish they really would remove for how long this process takes. You can manually select ones if you want, but it's when you're dealing with these lower tiers, it's really kind of irrelevant. Now we just saw 99 shards pop up. if you get a crit success on a forge, you can actually get multiples of the next tier and shards, which is actually really nice. There also is a scroll of combination in the LOTRO store. It is 795 points, and I forget how long it lasts you, but basically increases your crit chance success on relic forging. Not something I would personally invest in. It's a lot of turbine points to give to something like this, and especially if you have a lot of characters with a lot of this, definitely not worth it in my opinion. Okay, and tier 9. Okay, I don't have any tier 9s. Okay, so I will go through and do all the relic forging, combine everything up as high as I can. I should have actually deconstructed that one first. So I don't bother selling allies, I just deconstruct them. If they're not for my class, or if I'm not looking for one on my other tunes, I just deconstruct it. And then, let me slide back down to tier 1. Okay. So everything's deconstructed. So we're going to step over to refine. So I actually refine everything that is not tier 5 or higher. And then I'll explain that here in just a second. Okay, so there's tier 5. Alright. And you'll see when you refine, you also get a chance to get item experience runes. So you don't get a whole lot out of them until you get to the upper tiers. I mean, you get some 2k IXPs and some 1ks and whatnot. So not a whole lot. The reason I do tier 5 and higher is basically because when you're doing endgame instances that give runes, relics, and settings and things like that, you're getting tier 5s and higher. So that's a good way to get relics. Another good way is actually just leveling up third ages to 60 and deconstructing them. A lot of people say, no, do it to 20 or 30, so you do level 30 so you can get your the legacy you want and stuff like that. And that's good. I mean, that is the goal, is to level it to 30 to get the legacy that you would like off of it. But if you're game planning for your second age or your first age weapon, it's really better to level it all the way up to 60. Because you're going to get a lot more tier 6 and tier 7 relics out of those, and some tier 5s. And it makes it a lot easier to get up to tier 10s if you're doing it that way. So that would be my advice, is go ahead and level it all the way up to 60. Deconstruct it, go ahead and grab the legacy that you want off of it when you do it. And then you're going to get a lot more stuff to Relic Forge. And then you don't have to start all the way down at tier 1 and tier 2 and then try to go all the way up. You're starting a lot higher up already. Okay, so I've done all the refining that I plan to do right here. So I'm going to come look at melding again. And it kind of makes sense to me to actually do forging, deconstruct. I wish the refining tab was here, and then melding, because that's kind of the order I do things. But so right now we have, let's see, that's all the mounted stuff. We want, alright, so the current end game, if you will, settings, gems, and runes are the Westmint tier. But also within the, where is that? That's all mounted. There we go. So under the Eastmint tab as well, there's a couple more of the unique ones, like the true setting of the 300s, true setting of the North. So those don't exist in the Westmint tier. I'm not really sure why that is, but you need to be careful when choosing these, because if you look at just the typical extraordinary ones, you're looking at like the Westmint, setting of stability, beginnings, and endings. those exist in both sets, in both the Eastment and the Westment, but you want to compare that against the true settings that are in the level 80 Eastment stuff. For example, the true setting of the 3 Hunters, plus 7.5% Devastate Magnitude, plus 646 Physical and Tactical Mastery, and plus 35 Fate. So you have Dev Magnitude, Offensive Rating, and Crit. So that's very nice. That doesn't exist in this tier down here, so you really would, if you're looking for an offensive one, you'd really be looking at the setting of Ending, which is 7.5% Dev Magnitude still, plus 1454 Crit Rating, and 182 in-combat morale regen. So, it's one of those, it's kind of whatever your build needs. Like, if you still need more mastery, or if you're topped out on crit, you don't want the setting of Endings because you're wasting a ton of crit. So you would actually, this level 80 setting would actually be better for you. So it's really good to plan for that. Now, the reason I said that this actually requires a lot more work is because of the amount of materials that it needs. If you actually look at a tier 10, okay, a tier 10 takes 768 shards and another tier 10 relic if you're trying to get a specific one. Not a big deal. Now, if we slide down here all the way to, we'll go ahead and look at the Westment setting of Endings. That requires 11,232 shards and 3 specific tier 10 relics. So that's the thing, is if you get 3 tier 10 relics and they're all not these, you would actually have to meld your other tier 10 relics into the ones you need so that you could then again meld to get this particular setting. So that's why it takes a lot of planning and a lot of time. I tend to actually write all this stuff down of what I'm trying to get and how much of what I need, so I don't have to keep clicking back and forth and then end up clicking on the wrong thing and then I meld the wrong thing. So it can be handy if you just have a pen and paper, just jot down the stuff that you're going after and what it's required for. It makes it a lot easier. But then that's really all I do as far as trying to get, these higher relics. Is I will level LIs up to level 60, deconstruct them, then I will do my relic combinations all the way up to the tier 10s. I find out what I need out of those tier 10s, meld them to the correct ones, and then I meld it to my extraordinary settings. So, let's see here. So if you actually take a look at my LIs as they stand right now, I do have 95s on my champion because I've been playing the Minstrel quite a bit. But to give you an example, on my sword, I have the Westment setting of Endings, the Emerald Gem of Dexterity. Oh, this is actually the wrong sword. There we go. I want that one. So Westment setting of Endings, and then I have the True Gem of the Rising Moon, and then I have the Wildermore Rune of Power. So I have a level 90 setting, a level 80 gem, and a level 85 rune, and then my crafted relic. So it's really, it takes a lot of planning, but if you take the time, it is some min-maxing, but if you take the time to actually do this, I think you'll be happy with how well your character performs in anything that you're trying to do. So, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave any comments below, any feedback as well. And if you would like to see any other videos, just leave a comment below, or send me a message on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that, and we'll see what we can do. Otherwise, look forward to seeing you in game, and come see me on the streams. Thanks, and take care.